Hello everyone, my name is Mike Snow, and I'm going to be reacting to episode 7 of Twin Peaks: The Return, and this episode I liked a lot better than the past couple of episodes. I thought it was really ramping up with the action. Evil Cooper, Doppel Cooper, has finally escaped from the prison, and this weird criminal thing he's got going on with the warden, that's apparently this big conspiracy with a bunch of people involved in these horrible crimes, and he's and he knows that the warden is involved, and I think at this point we know that he has some sort of weird telepathic ability to be able to kind of sense what people are thinking somehow. I don't know exactly how he has that, or whether all of the doppelganger type creatures have it if they get out. But the whole sequence of him getting out and threatening the warden, that was really cool. We also get a lot more with Diane, played by Laura Dern, and Laura Dern is an amazing actress. See my video on Inland Empire to see how I feel about her being one of the best actresses of the past decade or so. She is absolutely amazing, but Diane is not at all like I pictured her to be. I always kind of imagined her as this very sort of serious, sober counterpoint to Dale, and maybe 25 years ago she was, but now she sort of drinks a fair bit, she's emotional, she's mean, she tells Albert and Gordon and Tamara Preston to go fuck themselves, which it just seems like something that I wouldn't have imagined from her somehow. I just don't, I never pictured her behaving in that way, but the scene where she goes to talk in the prison with the evil Cooper is amazing. It's really, really good and frightening, and she knows that there's something wrong with this guy, and she knows that something evil is happening. I also want to point out that the episode begins with an amazing sequence with Jerry Horne. Twin Peaks was always one of the funniest shows I've ever seen, and this episode was great. It was hilarious. Jerry Horne is stoned out of his mind in the middle of the woods, and maybe someone stole his car. I assumed at first that it was Richard Horne that stole his car, because there was another car parked near where he left this huge truck thing that he hit the kid with yesterday. We don't get Richard Horne in this episode. That's not the way the show does things. You can't just go, you can't just have an entire story. It has to be sliced up in tiny little strips and distributed over hours. But this hilarious sequence with Jerry Horne, just a very quick moment. Jerry was always one of the funniest characters on the show, and he's absolutely amazing here. Their amazing roasted line when talking about the Pine Weasel in the original series is still funny to me. We also get a little bit more of the Ben and Jerry storyline with Ashley Judd's character. And Ashley Judd's character clearly seems to be flirting and getting very close to some sort of relationships, maybe he's having sex with Ben Horne here at this point. And I have to question here, even though I love the show, I'm still going to criticize it, even though I love it. Nothing is above criticism. I have to question the point of all of this. What is the point in a narrative to have, 4 minutes of a storyline and then wait 3 or 4 hours? And it's been 6 hours, I think, since we saw Ashley Judd and Ben Horne and their storyline, and then show the rest of it, the next 10 minutes of the story. It feels like some sort of, it almost feels like back in the 90s when people were self-consciously trying to emulate Quentin Tarantino by mixing time up a little bit in indie movies of that era. And I'm sorry, but it just doesn't work for me. I don't see a point to why we couldn't have seen just a 15-minute segment of these guys in the first episode. I don't understand what the purpose of it. I mean, maybe there's some sort of artistic purpose and we're just supposed to accept it, but frankly, I do get it. I do understand it. It's not a matter of understanding. I just don't care for it. I just don't really like it. But we do get more of the Dougie storyline in this one, going back to positive stuff. And I do like the Dougie storyline and how ridiculous it is. And it's finally ramping up. The action is going forward so much with this. And he actually is attacked by Ike the Spike, the little person assassin from the previous episode with the ice pick or something like that. And he actually, his instincts kick in. He's suddenly able to grab Ike the Spike and remember all of his martial abilities. It actually reminds me of some things from kung fu movies I saw called The Crippled Masters, where a man who's an expert martial artist suffers a brain injury, but he can still perform kung fu. That's what happened with Cooper. He's senile, but he could still somehow take down Ike the Spike, this assassin, and wrestle the gun out of his hand and karate chop him. I loved the karate chop to the throat. That really felt like old school 1960s era martial arts, like the karate chop you'd see Captain Kirk do on Star Trek. That was a lot of fun. But overall, the episode was amazing. We also got to see Warren Frost, the co-creator, co-writer Mark Frost's father, who died a few months ago. And amazingly, we got to see his stuff on Father's Day, which was incredible. It was also weird that we got to see Skype used in Twin Peaks. That's going to take a while for me to quite grasp. I don't to consider Skype and Twin Peaks existing somehow in the same universe. That's very bizarre to me. But that was a really good scene with Warren Frost there. I really liked that. And we progress a tiny little bit with the Laura Palmer stuff. Once again, I feel we could have had all of this Laura Palmer stuff, like 20 minutes of it, in just one episode. We didn't need to slice this up in quite this way. It just sort of, it just kind of felt peculiar. And we also learned from Warren Frost's character, from Doc Hayward, that Audrey Horne, we're knowing a little bit more about her, was apparently in a coma after everything that occurred, but with the explosion in the series finale of the original series. So we still don't know what's going on with her. Is she okay? Is she not? We can't. That's really frustrating. I want to know more about that. We also get a sequence, by the way, with one of the Renault brothers, and apparently the Renault family, this sort of like Canadian-American crime family, have owned the Roadhouse this entire time for 60 years, they said. So that's pretty amazing. I don't know if they mentioned that the Renault brothers owned the Roadhouse. This iconic, sort of amazing place in Twin Peaks is actually owned by this crime family. Maybe I should have guessed that from what happened in Firewalk with Me. But this Renault brother, played by Walter Olkowitz, is apparently pimping out kids exactly like he did or his family did 25 years ago, this other Renault brother, or Renault family member, I should say. And he was apparently pimping out a 15-year-old kid. We don't know who he was pimping them out to, or if we're going to find that out. But I kind of want to know that, and kind of want to see that person who slept with a 15-year-old arrested sometime later on. Unfortunately, we don't get a continuation of Richard Horne's storyline from the last one where he hit the kid. That's really painful that we don't get to see this. And again, I have to question, what's the point of showing 10 minutes of a story and then waiting? Let's just imagine we're watching it on DVD in the future. You'd watch 10 minutes of this story sequence, then you'd wait, 2 hours to see it in the next one? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but whatever. We don't get a continuation of that, so Richard Horne is like in hiding, or he's dealing drugs, or he's involved in some kind of, apparently the truck that he had was not his truck, so they can't tie it to him directly. That's kind of what I assumed would happen in the original. But it apparently stole somebody else's truck, but this guy may be in on it, because he tries to fool Andy into thinking that, this didn't really occur. And I was kind of shocked that the sheriff and Hawk weren't involved in this investigation of a child being killed on a road. They just sort of fobbed this off to Andy. I mean, no shade at Andy. I love Andy, but like a 10-year-old gets killed. Maybe you want to take care of that. The sequence with Tamara Preston in the plane, she is treated very kind of weirdly by Gordon Cole. He's like asking like her to hold out her hands, and then hold out her hands like this, and like counting the hands on it to show that apparently Agent Cooper had said a word backwards in the original one, which people were pointing out a few episodes ago, and it was the spiritual finger or something like that. But he seems to be treating her in almost like a patronizing manner, which is kind of, I don't know, kind of peculiar. But he's really, really nice and friendly with Diane, this person that they have this incredible dark past apparently with, so where she went away bitter and angry. And I want to know if Diane was screwed up with Cooper before he went away, or if evil Cooper did something horrible to her afterwards, because that doesn't seem possible, because she instantly knows that evil Cooper is evil Cooper. She can tell just by looking at him that this guy is bad. So apparently the good Dale maybe screwed with her or something, or maybe she thinks the good Dale did because he never came back to her after those 25 years. Oh, and Doc Hayward remembered instantly what happened 25 years ago with Cooper, and the weird scene at the end of the finale where apparently he bashed his head into the wall, and everything that went on afterwards. They took him to the hospital, and apparently he walked away that day, and really no one has seen him since then. So that was pretty amazing that he remembered that so vividly. And we also get a slight continuation of the Major Briggs body being discovered with the Air Force plot line, but we get so little of it, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's like, we get like, I don't know, 2 minutes of it maybe? And half of it is just the Air Force captain woman repeating exactly what she just said a second ago. I mean, that seems like something that would be in a Roger Corman movie from the 50s, like a bunch of characters discuss something, and then instantly later they call someone on the phone and repeat exactly what they discussed. I'm sorry, but that doesn't make any sense, and that's not, that just seemed kind of ludicrous to me. They could have just had her say the one thing and just edited the other thing out. I'm beginning to suspect, and I know this may be heretical in the Twin Peaks community, but I'm beginning to suspect that maybe Showtime was right to say that they didn't quite need all 18 of these episodes, purely in terms of economy of style. I know that's a horrible thing. Don't hate me in the comments for saying that, because as I said, I love Lynch, I love Twin Peaks. But there's like a 30-second sequence of someone sweeping in the Roadhouse as music drones on. It's just like generic type music drones in the background for like 45 seconds before a scene starts. Maybe that's just beyond my ability to artistically comprehend. But anyway, we get a continuation of the Major Briggs storyline, and they think that headless though he may be, and the weird age that he is, they may have actually found the body of Major Briggs, and the bizarre homeless guy whose head he sort of teleported away and his head kind of faded up in the first episode with next to Matthew Lillard's cell. Apparently he is wandering around the police station somehow. I don't know how this guy's there or why nobody notices him, or does the woman notice him? I don't know if she looks back and sees him there, but is he some kind of ghost? Is he some kind of weird lodge creature spirit thing? I don't quite understand. I mean, maybe, but you don't have to understand everything right away. Overall, this was an absolutely amazing episode. It's Twin Peaks. It's my favorite show. I absolutely love it. Ashley Judd's character is apparently involved in some sort of weird relationship with her husband where he's terminally ill, and they scream at each other, and, he seems to suspect that she's doing something with Benjamin Horne, which she obviously is. She could not have played that any more flirty and fuck me right now, please, Ben Horne, in the previous scene. And the husband is understandably a little concerned about that. I mean, wouldn't you be if your wife was screwing around with you while you were dying of cancer? I mean, that kind of sucks, right? You'd be upset. But she like screams at him in anger, and they have some sort of weird twisted relationship going on there, which is yet another wife. This is the third wife. I think of all the wives we've seen on the show who have just been like enraged at their husband and screaming and yelling at them and caterwauling at them. And Laura Dern's character is also screaming and yelling at Albert and everything, but, well, that's a little peculiar. We're going to have to sit tight and find out what the heck's going on there. But I love the stuff with Dougie, and it's finally ramping up, and there's actually a video of him speaking to the news after the event. So apparently, maybe Gordon Cole's going to see him on the news, or somebody's going to see him on the news and get down there, and they're going to find that it's him, and he's the real Cooper and everything that's going on, and figure out what's happening with the Dougie situation, and that he's not really this Dougie Jones person. Maybe that's going to happen. I loved the fight he had with the Spike, where he like wrestled the gun out of his hand, and we weirdly see the arm pop up out of the ground. It's really creepy and weird, and apparently the Ike the Spike's hand is like melted off or something. He says the arm says to twist his hand off, and Dale apparently is like ripping flesh and skin off of Ike the Spike's hand. It's amazing. So anyway, tell me what you thought of this episode. Tell me what you think of the show so far. If you agree with what I said, if you disagree with what I said, I want to know, how are you feeling about this parceling up of the story into tiny little tidbits here and there? Do you enjoy that? Do you hate that? Do you want that to change? Do you think that's brilliant and you want more of that? Please continue the discussion in the comments below, and I'm going to link some videos here of other things I've done with Lynch's work and with Twin Peaks, so check those out. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of these videos. I am actually in the middle of a move, so I'm moving house, so next week I don't think I'm going to be able to get the video up on time on Monday. Unfortunately, I don't know when I'm going to be able to do that. So it's going to be up as soon as I can see the video. I'm going to put it up right after that sometime. Please like this video if you liked it, and have a good day.